Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So in my last video when I talked about my first impressions of Title Update 10, I made mention of something that I found that players in the community were polling for, and that was the quality of the loot. Now, I said in that video that it seems like more players are starting to say that the loot quality seems to be better, and I got that off a poll from a content creator on Twitter. So what I'll tell you, or kind of encourage you to do, is check out different content creator Twitter pages, and you're going to see multiple polls. I think Mark of Blades does frequent Twitter polls. I think Epic Slayers does frequent polls. And what I've seen is a lot of comments to the effect that the loot quality felt good on the very first day, but then it seems like it started to scale down back to the old loot quality that we had. Or in some cases, some people are saying what they're seeing more of is rainbow loot. Rainbow loot meaning, gear that basically comes with 3 different attributes. Now, this is my second account, and I haven't really farmed on this account, but I was able to open up I was able to get this as a reward. Actually, I didn't open up anything. I went and submitted my stuff at the weekly requisition, which granted me a chameleon and also granted me this pristine example chess piece. Now, the pristine example chess piece is an Heraldi Holdings chess piece. Its job is to provide damage, and if you look at the brand sets, Heraldi Holdings gives you 10% marksman rifle damage for the first piece, and then when you're on the second piece, you get 15% headshot damage and then 5% damage to armor. This is a very good marksman rifle set, and basically you want to just put on maybe one piece, and with pristine example, you're getting the perfect focus talent. So ideally, you want something along the lines of different red combinations. Now, you can get weapon handling, you can get critical hit damage, critical hit chance, or headshot damage. So this is a combination of 4 other things. But then when you add all the other minor attributes, status effects, skill damage, and then you add hazard protection, explosive resistance, you have much more of an aspect of the loot RNG that can convolute what some of the loot is actually meant to do for you. Now, my guess is somebody who probably is running Heraldi Holdings may not necessarily want to use status effect as a minor attribute in their game. Now, skill damage, perhaps they want to run a drone that can be dealing some damage as they're doing some weapon damage or whatever, but they also need to understand that if they're going to be running that drone, they're going to be eating out of their potential weapon damage, which this gear set basically carries on its name the stamp of a specific weapon damage, and you would want for that weapon damage to be able to do much more. So this is the rainbow loot that a lot of people are talking about, which has always basically been in the game. And it seems like this convolution is most likely a problem. And again, if you see the way this particular thing rolled, you can tell that there is something really weird here in how they've designed the RNG to work. And that is the fact that even in the attributes, you don't even get any diversity. It's such a mix-mash probability fiesta that you go ahead and get 2 yellows on a build that is primarily designed to emphasize the red or the offensive attributes. So this kind of farming mentality, I think, is put there in the game to provide some artificial longevity in playtime rather than anything else. And I think this is why some players are starting to revert back on their original stance, saying that the loot does not feel as good because you have a wide variety of different parameters that you have to deal with. If you give me a chess piece like this when I want to build a marksman rifle build, I would have to go through leaps, hoops, and bounds to be able to make it work. Now, you can make it work. It has an offensive mod slot. You can roll one of your minor attributes. You can roll away your status effects. That's basically something, you don't need. But then thinking about how, something of that nature, you're going to be getting, skill damage so low. Now, this chess piece is something that if you even wanted a chess piece like this, you still can't really use this chess piece because it rolled so low. So there are so many layers of how difficult it is to get good loot in this game that for them to really want to be generous, this is a case that I made from a long time coming in this game, and that is an optimization station. I know many people push back from the old gear set system, saying there was like a budget of how much stats can roll whenever something drops for you. Something could only roll 2%, another could roll 8% or whatever. But that system has largely been, not even largely, totally been done away with. And if you think about the way we have our classified items right now, who's to say, or what's to stop the developers from giving players the option to be able to come back and reconfigure their regular items? I think this is probably the next step that requires players to be able to stick with this game and play on, because if you maybe got a chess piece like this, and this chess piece is something you're like, whoa, I've been looking for an Heraldi chess piece with skill damage, something that would definitely make my build wonderful, and now I've found it with Pristine example. Even if everything is so perfect, all I need is to get one with maximum, skill damage, or, be able to get some other kind of talent on there and keep maybe, the skill damage at where it's at. I think we need to be able to gain the possibility to enhance our gear. This is PvE RPG style, I would say paradigm. And one place that I'm getting this kind of stuff for, and even many people may push back against this idea, is if you think about Assassin's Creed Origins. I said Origins. I've played a little of Origins, but Odyssey is what I meant to say. I've beaten Odyssey, the story, and one thing that I really found admirable about that game was in the design of your gear, you actually have the capability to use your resources to be able to upgrade your gear. And this is exactly what this game will benefit from if the developers will basically stop being stingy and actually be generous. They call this patch generosity in quotes. That's what they said this patch is about. And even though this is my first character, we have all these resources in the game that basically just goes to waste or just sits there without anybody doing anything with it. Yes, you have the crafting items and all. What if your, fabric for crafting could be used, say, if I had Heraldi fabric and I wanted to go in there and basically try to modify this Pristine example chess piece, and I found a way to use my Heraldi, materials. And if I run out of Heraldi materials, well, then guess what? There's now another whole layer of going into the targeted loot pool to go farm Heraldi. Look, there's a whole aspect of the map here. Where is this part of the map here? By Constitution Hall, where I can farm Heraldi. But now I don't have this Pristine example. I can go here and hit my head on the wall 300 times to try to maybe get another Pristine example, but everybody knows that is something that is going to be a far fetch. So I think with the convolution of loot, I think the developers need to look at how to develop a pathway for players to be able to farm and attain the things that they actually do need, not just for players just to sit here and hit their head on the wall, trying to the point of frustration. And I can understand that gameplay, longevity is on the mind of the developers, but the same diminishing returns still happen nonetheless. And what are these diminishing returns? The diminishing returns is players are eventually going to get tired, are going to have to take a break, and then eventually come back when you have new content. So it's best for the development team to let players actually take a break while they're happy and satisfied, rather than take a break while they're frustrated and basically angered. And if you notice, I just got a Delta. This is Sunday. I've been getting Delta. I was farming in PvP on my other accounts. I said PvP. I was farming the Dark Zone to try to get resources to buy a particular weapon, and I got 2 Deltas. Thankfully, I was able to finish and get all the resources I needed there. But these are the things that, players have to basically deal with. These are the things that players have to overcome that really makes the progression barrier overly steep, after players have invested time, invested money, invested agency, and everything into the game to try to make themselves get the best, power level that they can. But it seems like the development team continues to put these inadvertently, maybe they did it purposefully, maybe they are not even doing it purposefully, but this is a stumbling block that they need to look at in order for them to be able to get that overall, accomplishment of giving the player base good loot, especially now in this cycle of the game. I mean, I wish they had done something like this at the beginning of the game. The game would have been much more popular, rewarding, and fun to play. And another thing too is, I don't think that something like this affects difficulty, because there are many, many more parameters to be able to farm in this game. Now, this game has basically gotten an entire slew and an entire library, of brand sets and gear sets that are basically now overwhelming, and you can most likely build from this entire slew of possibilities. And this is a second account that I've been playing on, so I don't even have everything unlocked. But think about all the possibilities. Think about all the different brand sets that you would want to maybe build with and do something like this for, in order to get the perfect version of those builds. If somebody wanted to get even 3 min-max builds in this game, it's impossible for that person. Even to get 2 min-max builds, it's impossible for an agent to be able to do that. What's the 700 hours for if as an agent you have nothing to show for it? I think that's what the accomplishment side of, things are. The developers tout how they want people to be able to, reach the maximum achievement, yet they refuse for you to reach the maximum achievement. So, I mean, we're still going to be rocking the game how we get it, but I think the developers keep getting caught up in their own double speak by not putting the systems to achieve what they say they intend to do. Hence, it sounds quite fraudulent, in my opinion, because, that's basically how I see it. I see it as, okay, they want to do this. They say they want to do this. But then when it comes to time to do this and you evaluate it, you see that there are gaping holes in, that stop you from actually accomplishing those things. So that's basically my 2 cents right now with the loot quality in the game. I don't care nonetheless. I mean, there are ways for us to still beat content, but there is also the other side of things that's, that lets a player know that they have reached a point where they have maxed out their character and they can go and come back and be satisfied when they leave. And while they're gone playing other games, waiting for new content, they're satisfied when they return. You don't want them returning with their hands up in the air saying, well, I mean, it's all trial and error for us to only gain nonsense. What's the point in returning? You want them to be able to have that, sense of satisfaction. And as I hate to say it, because EA has basically spoiled it, that sense of, pride and accomplishment. Sorry, let's just use accomplishment. Let's not use pride and accomplishment. But that's basically what gaming is about. And if we can't get that in the Division 2, then, and the developers keep saying that they want us to get that, then they're lying to themselves, basically. They're fooling no one. I guess that's it for me. I appreciate you guys' time and audience. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching the video. Hopefully we'll talk soon in another video. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.